Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark. And before we get started today, I want to remind you about our July event. I know a lot of you really need it. It is Your Funnel Isn't Broken, It's Empty, How to Drive Real Traffic to Your Book and Your Business. So I know a lot of you guys have been building funnels, and then I hear all the time, it doesn't work. Nobody's opting in. Nobody's, all of the things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the book business and how you can enhance it, and some tools out there that can help you build as well if you already have a book out there. So that will be July 10th, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and we will have the links up by the time this is out so that you can go over and register. If you want to pre-register, get in touch with me, superbrandpublishing@gmail.com, and say, please register me for the event, and we'll get you in. We don't have the landing pages up yet. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to tell you guys the story behind The Fortune Teller's Daughter. My second fiction book this year just came out last week, and I'm really excited about it. But I'm more excited to tell you the story behind it because, as many of you know, fiction often comes from things that happen in your life that you're just like, whoa, what just happened there? The Fortune Teller's Daughter was one of those books. So back in, I want to say it was 2010, I was in the midst of, it must have been earlier than that, maybe 2008. I was in the midst of a really, really ugly divorce. And as many of you guys know, my very first book, Flayers, which I'd taken off the market, I actually killed my ex-husband in. And believe me, he knows it too. He jokes all the time, are you going to republish that one? So, but it was just this really bizarre event where I went down to visit my little sister in Newport Beach, and we went down to Balboa Island for the day. And she said, I have to take you to this psychic down there. She does these angel drawings. So we went into this angel place, and my sister went first, and it was a full hour because the woman did a reading, and then she did these beautiful angel portraits as well that you got to take home with you. So my sister went first, and she came out, and she was really unhappy about some things that she was told. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so then I went in, and the woman started telling me how I had this really dark cloud. Like, she started doing the thing that I know now is a big psychic trip. So went in, came out, and a couple days later, this woman calls me, and she says, I'd really like you to come in. I want to talk to you about clearing all this darkness out. So I call my sister, and I'm like, did that woman call you about your darkness? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay, why am I dark and you're not? So, just kind of a funny moment. So I went down to this woman's shop in Newport Beach, and she wanted $5,000 to clear this darkness. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, what's going on here? So typical me, I played along. I said, why don't you just give me one session for a reduced rate, and we'll see if I like it or not. So she did the reduced session, and I peeked during the session, and all this woman was doing was Reiki. And I was a certified Reiki person at that point, so I was like, she wants $5,000 for this. But I got really curious. I don't know what it was about the whole situation, but there was just something really funky about it. And when I was there, she had said, I was at the shop in Newport Beach. She had said that the shop in Balboa Island got broken into. And I thought, well, that's weird. What would they steal from a psychic? And why didn't she see that coming? So anyway, I went home and I looked up her name. I was trying to get some information on her. And I came across this weird story that was in Newsweek that she was mentioned in. And it was a rare look at Gypsy culture, and that these two feuding families down in the Newport Beach, Orange County area of California let whatever feud they were having over territories spilled out into the court system. And there was this whole story about a death that had occurred and break-ins into each other's shops. And the funniest part is the head of one family was White Bob, and the head of the other family was Black Bob. And so I just started thinking, like, what a story. Like, I could write something from this. So I actually spent about the next 6 months researching Gypsy culture, which is really hard to find good information on it because they are so secretive. The Gypsy culture is so secretive. So I got some information on it, and then I decided I was going to go see I lived in LA County at the time. I was going to go see some more psychics there. So I started looking around and going and kind of identifying, like, what is that trick? How did she just get that out of me? And as I was researching the culture, it was very interesting. I found that the women are the major breadwinners in Gypsy culture, and that they actually teach their daughters from a very young age how to do this con, how to actually get money out of people and continuing. And so I started writing the book. And I actually figured that, why worry about it if this is all scams? So the person in the book is actually somebody that I had gone to while I was doing it. But it was just a very interesting story, and going to these people and watching to see how they did this. What are the cues they're looking for? How do they teach their daughters how to do it? And something really interesting was that I had gone to one in Manhattan Beach, and just a normal house. It didn't look, if you've ever gone to a psychic, you've looked at, they have these houses that are readily identifiable. You can see they're very opulent looking, I guess, is what I would call them. This was just a normal house in Newport Beach. And about a year later, after the book came out, I looked that woman up again, and she had been convicted of fraud. Her and her daughter had been convicted of fraud. They conned somebody out of $750,000. So it was just very interesting. I wove the story around it. The story doesn't really look like that. But I found out in the process that a lot of times, like if you don't have the money to give them, they'll ask for jewelry or something else of value. You will see that in the book. But it's just, I think it's really interesting when you're writing something like this, that it's always grounded in something that has happened in real life that you've identified. And maybe in your head, you've made up a story about it, or you've kind of done a little twist on the real story so that it does become fictional. But it was a really fun book to write. The funnest part, I think, was going to different psychics and seeing like how they read the cards and what they tell you. And I've never been really locked into that much, but it was interesting at the time. You kind of grasp, like, how are they getting that information out of me to know that's what to talk about? But also some of the things that they suggested and some of the things that they said were really a riot. In terms of, everybody had darkness. Some of them wanted to sell you something more. Some of them you would just go into a shop. There was a shop I used to go into to do this a lot called the Psychic Eye down, I think it's in Van Nuys, as well as independent psychics as well. So it was really all very interesting to figure out how they do it and learning about the culture. For those of you who don't know, us regular people who aren't part of the Gypsy culture are called the Gaja. And the Gaja are there for one thing, and that is to get money from us. So you can see how everything they do. When I was reading more into it, the men do a lot of construction type things, termite work, different things like that. Where they get the money from the individual, but then they don't do the work, or they do shoddy work and then disappear. But the women seem like they're very stable, and they always have shops either out of their home or in a retail space. So that's the story. The Fortune Teller's Daughter is available for free on my fiction website, juliadyllenclark.com. So please go download it, and if you like it, go grab the rest of the series. Dark Granny just came out last month, and then Forgotten Farmhouse is going to be out in 2 weeks in Kindle. And then Bad Lie will be out in August. It is currently in editing, and I'm super happy because the editor is like, why would you have an agent, girl? So he must think it is really, really good. And it is a little bit different because I think because it's a golf story, there'll be a little bit more of a male audience. So Remember, email me if you want to come to the July event. I will be sending out invites and places to sign up in the coming weeks. But I want you to think about that, about, have you had a funnel built and maybe it's not building quickly? If you have a book, there are so many tools you can use now to build. I'm finding this out through my fiction publishing. There are some really cool things you can do. And I've also added a new YouTube channel for you guys who like mysteries. It's called Mystery Lab Books. It's over on YouTube at Mystery Lab Books. And you can actually see some of the swaps that I'm doing. I talk about them. I'm not very good at it yet. I don't know why. It's just such a different way of doing compared to this. They're more short, less than 15 minutes, but that is part of filling that funnel, is getting yourself over on the platform that does this and doing some book swaps and promoting each other. So I will see you next time. I hope you go and download the Fortune Teller's Daughter. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a great summer beach read. All right, later, guys.